The sky shatters. It started with a strange hum. In the heart of New York City, the sound was faint at first, almost imperceptible. But then it grew, vibrating the very air itself. The pedestrians, oblivious to what was about to happen, continued with their daily routines. But those who stopped to listen began to look around, their faces drawn with confusion and fear. The hum had become a deep, resonant vibration, almost like the sky itself was resonating with some unknown force. The wind shifted abruptly, whipping through the streets, carrying with it an unnatural chill. Then, without warning, the sky cracked open. A deafening roar echoed through the city, unlike any sound the earth had ever produced. The sound of the sky tearing apart. It wasn't thunder, nor was it the rumble of distant war machines. No, this was something primal. The ground shook, and the sky split in two, a jagged tear stretching across the heavens. A brilliant, greenish light poured from the rift, casting long shadows across the city streets, and the sun itself seemed to dim in response. People screamed as the air around them seemed to warp, distorting the world they once knew. The light from the rift pulsed, its green glow illuminating the buildings below in an eerie, unsettling glow. A wave of power surged from the breach, pushing against the city like an invisible hand. Cars flipped onto their sides, windows shattered, and streets cracked open, as if the city itself was rebelling against the unknown force. In the sky above, two colossal alien ships emerged from the rift. Their forms were unlike anything humans had ever seen. Massive, jagged, and angular, with sharp edges that gleamed in the unnatural light. The ship's surfaces shimmered like liquid metal, their shapes contorted and constantly shifting. They were as if made of darkness, a presence so overwhelmingly foreign that even the clouds around them began to dissipate, leaving the ships unchallenged in the heavens. As the ships hovered above, the city below fell into chaos. Screams filled the streets as people ran in every direction, desperately trying to escape the unknown force above them. The once vibrant cityscape had become a war zone, buildings crumbling, vehicles overturned, and a cloud of dust and smoke billowing into the air. From above, Superman watched in silence. He had felt it, the disturbance in the atmosphere, the unnatural pull of power. His senses screamed at him that this was no ordinary invasion. The crack in the sky, the ships, the unnatural energy, they were all a sign of something far worse than any enemy Earth had faced before. His eyes narrowed as he flew toward the rift. The air around him crackled with energy, and he could feel the immense gravity of the situation. These invaders were not like any other he had encountered. There was something ancient and deliberate in their presence. They had come for something, and they wouldn't leave without it. As Superman neared the rift, a deep, resonant voice echoed through the streets, amplified by the alien ship's technology. "We are Andrax," the voice boomed, "and she is Xyla. We are the exiled ones. This world is ours to reclaim. Your fate is sealed." The words hung in the air, chilling the blood of every human who heard them. The voice carried a weight that seemed to echo in the very bones of the city. Andrax and Xyla, two alien beings, whose names carried a promise of destruction, of domination. It was clear, this was not a typical invasion. This was a war for the Earth itself, and these invaders had come with an ancient purpose. Superman, hovering in mid-air, clenched his fists. He had faced impossible odds before, but something about this moment felt different. Something about these invaders told him that the battle for Earth would be unlike anything he had ever experienced. Before he could take action, the rift flared brighter, and a sudden burst of energy shot from the opening, slamming into the ground with the force of 1,000 thunderclaps. Superman was thrown back, his body crashing through a nearby building. The energy from the blast seemed to pulse in the air, and for a moment, everything around him felt distorted, shifting and warping. He slowly pushed himself up from the rubble, his mind racing. The alien ships loomed above, and the green light of the rift flickered ominously. Andrax and Xyla had already shown their power, and it was only the beginning. The truth was undeniable. Earth was facing an invasion unlike anything it had ever known, and the heroes of this world would have to rise to meet it. As the ground continued to tremble beneath him, Superman's gaze lifted toward the sky, where the first signs of the coming storm were already forming. This was only the beginning. The gathering of heroes. The city of New York had become a battlefield. Alien ships hovered in the sky, their menacing forms casting long shadows over the streets. The once vibrant skyline was now a jagged silhouette, half destroyed by the terrifying power of the invaders. The rift in the sky pulsed with an unnatural glow, and the entire city trembled under the weight of the alien force. Superman stood amidst the wreckage of Metropolis, his cape fluttering in the gusts of wind. His body ached from the impact of the blast earlier, but his resolve was unwavering. He could feel the presence of the invaders in the air, thick with power. The alien beings, Andrax and Xyla, were no ordinary foes. Their energy was unlike anything he had ever encountered, ancient, primal, and terrifying. He knew that Earth stood at the precipice of annihilation. But Superman wasn't alone. The Bifrost shimmered in the distance, and Thor, the god of thunder, appeared with a flash of lightning. His armor gleamed under the oppressive sky, and Xyla crackled with raw power in his grip. The thunderous presence of the Asgardian god was enough to make the alien invaders pause, though only for a moment. The two forces eyed each other, both knowing that this would be a battle unlike any the world had seen before. "I felt the disturbance from across the realms," Thor said, his voice steady but full of a deep-seated urgency. "These are no mere invaders. They are ancient beings, gods, perhaps, and they've come to claim Earth." Superman nodded grimly. "I know. They've been hiding in the shadows for too long. We need to stop them before they enslave the entire planet." But as they spoke, another figure emerged from the shadows. With a roar that shook the very ground, Hulk smashed through the rubble, his green form streaking toward the two heroes. His massive fist slammed into the ground as he skidded to a stop in front of Superman and Thor. "Hulk smash!" he bellowed, his fury only intensifying with each passing second. The air around him crackled with raw, uncontained power. Thor raised an eyebrow, a hint of admiration in his voice. "Your rage is a formidable weapon, Hulk. But be mindful, these enemies are not like those we have faced before." Superman turned to face the Hulk, a wry smile crossing his face. "It's good to have you with us, big guy. We'll need all the strength we can get." Together, the three heroes stood united, their diverse powers a perfect counterbalance to the alien invaders' immense strength. But deep down, each of them knew the truth. Even their combined might not be enough to stop the oncoming storm. As the three heroes gathered, a dark figure watched from the shadows, hidden from sight but ever present. Xyla, the alien queen, stood in the heart of the rift, her eyes glowing with cold fire. She had watched Superman, Thor, and Hulk assemble. She knew what they were capable of, but she was not afraid. She was ready. "Let them come," Xyla whispered, her voice echoing across the void. "Their power is nothing compared to ours." Andrax, her companion, turned toward her, his eyes glowing with the same malevolent energy. "They will learn soon enough. The Earth belongs to us." With a flick of her hand, the rift in the sky widened further, darkening the world below. The final battle was about to begin. The battle had raged for hours, but the aliens' relentless onslaught seemed endless. Superman soared through the skies, clashing with the alien ships as Thor summoned the thunder, his hammer Mjolnir crackling with divine power. Hulk tore through the battlefield, his fists demolishing the invaders' ground forces with every strike. Despite their combined strength, the heroes were being pushed to their limits. Andrax and Xyla's forces were relentless, their dark energy overwhelming the city. But as the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the ruins of New York, a shift in the battle occurred. The rift in the sky grew wider, its unnatural glow illuminating the streets below in an eerie, greenish light. The ground beneath the heroes seemed to pulse with energy, as though the very earth itself was reacting to the alien presence. Superman, battered and bruised, landed on a nearby rooftop, looking out over the war-torn city. He could feel it now. The truth was just out of reach, like a puzzle waiting to be solved. What was the connection between these alien invaders and Earth? What did they want with this planet? Thor landed beside him, his eyes scanning the chaos. "They are not like any invaders I have faced before. This is something deeper, more ancient." His voice was tinged with both fury and confusion. "They have come for something beyond conquest." Before Superman could respond, a low, rumbling voice echoed through the air. It was Andrax, his voice reverberating across the city, amplified by the strange technology in his ship. "You seek answers, but none will be given. You are too late." The voice was accompanied by a strange, shimmering ripple in the air. Superman's eyes widened as the alien figure materialized before them. Andrax, towering over them with a dark, godlike aura, stepped forward. His form was shifting, flickering in and out of reality as if he were more a projection than a solid being. You were the ones, Superman whispered, a sudden realization dawning on him. You gave us our powers. Andrax smirked, his glowing eyes narrowed. Yes, Kryptonian, you and your kind were created by us. You seeded this world with your very existence, ensuring that one day our return would be inevitable. You are the culmination of our design, a weapon to prepare this planet for our conquest. Thor's grip tightened on Jonah as he stepped forward, his voice filled with disbelief and fury. They manipulate us, the gods of Iskar, who twisted the fates of this world and the powers of my people. This is madness. Andrax's smile grew wider. Madness. No, this is the truth. Earth was never meant to be free. It was never meant to choose its own destiny. We created your heroes, your legends. Every one of you, Superman, Thor, Hulk, was a tool, an instrument of our will. You were made to save us, to protect the Earth until the day of our return. And now that we are here, you will need it. Superman's fists clenched at his sides, his mind racing. The truth was more horrifying than he could have imagined. He, Thor, and Hulk were not just defenders of Earth. They were pawns in an ancient game, created by a race of godlike beings who had once controlled the universe. As Andrax's words hung in the air, a cold realization settled over the heroes. They were not fighting for the survival of Earth alone. They were fighting for their own freedom. Their entire existence had been manipulated by the very forces they were now battling. But then, just as the weight of this revelation threatened to crush them, a new voice broke through the tension. It's time to end this. The voice belonged to Xyla, the alien queen, who had emerged from the depths of the rift. Her presence was chilling, her eyes burning with the same malevolent energy that had flooded the city. She stepped forward, her voice like a whisper carried on the wind. You have served your purpose, heroes. You were never meant to defeat us. We have always been your masters. The Earth will be ours, as it always was. But just as the heroes began to process the magnitude of their manipulated existence, something unexpected happened. A crackling burst of energy shot from the rift, and suddenly, the very ground beneath Andrax and Xyla shifted. The alien invaders looked around in confusion as the energy fluctuated wildly. The rift began to close, its eerie green glow fading. Superman's eyes widened in shock. What's happening? They're losing control of the rift. Thor's gaze shifted to the sky, and his heart skipped a beat as he realized what was happening. Something else is intervening, something powerful enough to disrupt their hold over the rift. Andrax's smirk faltered for the first time as his form began to destabilize. No, this cannot be. Xyla's voice was filled with rage. This is impossible. Before she could finish, the ground erupted, and a massive surge of power shot up from beneath the city. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. An ancient force, one that had been dormant for centuries, now awakened to push back against the invaders. The rift collapsed in on itself, the dark energy vanishing as if it had never existed. The heroes stood in stunned silence, the weight of the revelation still heavy on their hearts. The truth of their origins, of their manipulation, was a bitter pill to swallow. But in that moment, the real question arose. Who, or what, had intervened to stop the alien invasion? As the dust settled and the rift sealed itself, the heroes realized that the war was far from over. This was just the beginning, and the real enemy was still out there, waiting for the right moment to strike.